in concert, the home of live music on Radio 2.
Oh, won't you stay with me? 'Cause you're all I need.
With Sam Smith, now on the Red Button.
The lights are on. The curtains are open. The floor is shiny. One thing remains. Who will dance with who? Join us at 7:15 tonight on BBC One.
Athletics from Switzerland now on BBC One as Zurich hosts the first of two Diamond League finals. Gabby Logan has all the highlights.
Welcome to the highlights of the Zurich Diamond League. With Beijing still fresh in the memory, the best in the world are back for the Weltklasse.
Here he goes, the Olympic champion kicking away. She's got it! Oh, that's enormous! It's going to be goal for South Africa! To the gold medal! Oh, that's big! Greg Rutherford has produced a beautiful job.
It's barely a week since the end of the World Championships in Beijing, and many of those newly crowned champions have made their way to Europe for the conclusion of the Diamond League. The Weltklasse in Zurich is the first half of the two-part Diamond League final. So there are double points on offer for the athletes competing here at the Letzigrund Stadium. 16 diamond race winners will be rewarded with a diamond trophy and $40,000. Taking you through it all are Tim Hutchings and Steve Cram.
We'll start with the women's 400-metre hurdles. Heinever is the leader, but Khalees Spencer's close enough, but of course Heinever brilliantly took the gold medal in Beijing. Ailey Child of Great Britain in lane 2. Finished 6th, was close to a personal best in Beijing, would have loved to have done so, might have got it closer to a medal. Khalees Spencer finished 8th, and I think it was the third hurdle down the back straight where just got it horribly wrong, and after that there was no coming back for her. What a season the Danes had. Sarah Peterson, great season, took 2013 out to have a child, and then coming back gradually last year and has been so good this year, but missed out in Beijing, but certainly not Heinever. What a great performance from her in the final, 53.5. So in terms of the diamond race here, there's only 2 points separate Heinever and Khalees Spencer, but Spencer would have to beat Heinever here tonight to take the diamond race away from her. Good clean start, and this crowd, as Tim was saying, renowned for creating a good atmosphere. We started very, very quickly. Cassandra Tate said she always gets out very, very quickly. Heinever has got the chance to chase her. Khalees Spencer trying to do her best to stay with Heinever, and in between the two of them, Sarah Peterson going well. Ailey Child right on the inside in lane 2, trying to stay with the three big names right in the middle. Cassandra Tate already now being run down by the world champion Heinever, hurdling beautifully, but look at Peterson right up there with Heinever. And the Dane doing what she's done all season long, Khalees Spencer not in this at the moment, but Peterson putting Heineva in some real pressure. 2 flights to go, just stutters into that one. And this is where Heineva can be so strong. Taking the last barrier now, Peterson again stuttering into it. Heineva comes off best, Maline's going to be third here. Heineva just hanging on, Peterson second, Maline third. Spencer a distant 4th place there.
She does judge her races brilliantly, doesn't she? It's such a desperately punishing event if you misjudge your effort over the full distance and you don't save enough for the home straight, and indeed that run-in off the final flight. But she does, she gets it right every time. She knows she's going to come off the final barrier strongly. Pedersen has had a fabulous season, and that's really close there between the two of them.
So on the track, our first diamond race winner of the night, Heineva, the world champion. 54.47 the winning time. Good run again from Peterson in 2nd place, 54.57, and Georgianne Maline. Some consolation for her getting a few good scalps from Beijing there.
Still to come, world champion and diamond race leader Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce tops a high-class lineup in the 100 metres. World record holder David Rudisha is back in form and plans to set a fast time in this non-Diamond League event. Beijing surprise package Wade van Niekerk will need a repeat performance to guarantee himself the 400-metre diamond race. Britain's Rabbi Youssef also features. Lindsay Sharp and Shalana Oskin-Clark of Great Britain take on world champion Marina Artsamatsova and bronze medalist Eunice Sum. Will winning the diamond race take the edge off Beijing disappointment for David Oliver? Orlando Ortega is the biggest threat to the giant American. A triple bill of world champions lines up for the 3,000 metres as Ganzebi Dibaba tries to add diamond race winner to her list of accolades this year. 3-time world champion Asbel Kiprop takes on 6 of his fellow Beijing finalists, including Britain's Charlie Grice. But first, let's catch up with the steeplechasers, where we join with 1,000 metres to go.
Down the back straight then, with just over 2.5 laps to run in this steeplechase. And there has been an acceleration, I think, during this 2nd kilometre. 2:40 the 1st kilometre. Well, no, that 2nd kilometre, 2:45 and 5:26 at 2K. A significant slowing. Birec it is, though, who has pushed on really aggressively. Koech in 2nd place. Evan Jager with that languid, raking stride of his in 3rd place. And these three are well away. It is Taleb back in 4th place. Taleb, who was a 7th placer at the World Championships, and they come through below us with 2 laps to run. And Evan Jager just needs to pay slightly closer order to this pair. We don't want that gap to grow. There was much talk in Beijing about Jager, who had run a 3:32, 1,500 metres, really top draw earlier in the season. Perhaps overestimating his own ability to kick in a steeplechase, but of course it was such a tactical race that the kick came in over the last 200, last 300, and Jager doesn't really have that change of pace. He has great speed, endurance, and Steve, he's just keeping that 3-4 metre gap between himself and the leading pair, and I wonder if that's intentional, so he gets a good side to the barriers.
Possibly, but I just think he's struggling to hang on here. And that's kind of what happened in Beijing, didn't it? He was there with 2 laps to go, and he just never looked comfortable. He always looked like he was working hard to stay with the group, and then he really fell away once the medals had gone. The world champion is way back. Well, I don't know, he's about 50 metres behind the leaders. Ezekiel Kemboy obviously not having a good race here tonight, but the front 2 now, Koech deciding to push on a little bit as they come round to take the bell.
Koech it is then at the bell. Birec in 2nd place. Jager still hovering about 5 metres down. The time is not going to be particularly quick, nowhere near 8 minutes on this occasion. Hardly surprising, there's a lot of tired legs out there. And Koech now kicking away. Poor Kipsiele Koech, one of the quickest men in history, the Olympic steeplechase bronze medalist back in 2004. Been around the block, 33 years old, and down the back straight. A little glance over his shoulder there with 300 to run to confirm that he's got a big, big gap over Birec. Well, he was only 9th in the Kenyan World Championship trial, never got a sniff at a place in their team, so perhaps a lot of frustration being unleashed here by Koech. He's taken, remember, the first 9 from the World Championships to the cleaners here. He's running on fresh legs. He's been back home, training hard. He comes here with so much energy to give, and he's done particularly well here tonight because the gap back to Birec, who's been so consistent, is fully 35 metres as Koech crosses the line just outside 8.10, 8.10.24. Birec comes home about 25 metres to the good from Jager. A rather jaded third there for Jager, and about 8.17.5, 8.18. Wow, and Kemboy, the world champion, Ezekiel Kemboy, second to last, indeed third to last actually, in probably about 8.35, way back. He really didn't have it tonight.
A slightly disappointing race in the sense that it was billed as a quick one again. I think when we get to these Diamond League finals, you've got to just be careful about expecting too much when people have literally come straight off an aeroplane from the World Championships. But look at Koech. He's good off the barriers, Koech, anyway, and he was certainly quick on that last lap.
Jairus Kipchoge Birec, though, is indeed the Diamond Race winner. Race that included the Olympic, World, European and Commonwealth champions. And there it is, Paul Koech, the freshest of them all. He didn't go to Beijing. Birec, second place though, but good enough points to retain the Diamond League title. And Evan Jaker, well, a good third for the American.
Multiple world and Olympic champion Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is the shining star of women's sprinting. Today's race is a tough challenge, almost a rerun of the Beijing showpiece, featuring 7 of those 8 finalists. In the diamond race, though, only Blessing Okagbari and Tori Bowie can prevent her finishing another great season as diamond race winner.
And if Usain Bolt is the dominant figure in men's sprinting, then of course Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce probably doesn't get quite the plaudits that Bolt gets, but her record is incredible. World champion again. She goes in lane 4 here. So it's a chilly night, but I very much doubt whether Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce will let what's been another incredible season for her not finish on a high here. She does lead the Diamond League race as well. Theoretically, Blessing Okagbari could beat her here. I don't mean in the race, but in the diamond race as well. But she'd have to win. And on evidence of what we've seen so far this season, that's not going to happen, I wouldn't think. So, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce in lane 4. Jamaica gets another great start. Tori Bowie was away pretty well next to her, but look at Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, already a couple of yards between her and the rest. And now coming through, Blessing Okagbari trying to chase her, but the winner, as ever, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce into a slight headwind, 10.94. You cannot really fault her. You know, the way she gets out of the block, she's then into a running, maintains well. And when she's in this sort of form, just absolutely unbeatable. Look at her out of the blocks, just exploding away. Tim can make the others look as though they haven't started very well, but Okagbari chased well, but was never going to get there.
Well, Fraser-Pryce over 100 is just about unbeatable when she starts like that, because there's just not time to catch her up. I mean, Okagbari very strong through the second half of 100s. She was running her down there. Certainly took about a metre and a half out of her over the second half. But the trouble is that prior to halfway, Fraser-Pryce had probably built about a 2 metre lead up on the big Nigerian. They weren't in adjacent lanes. Her start is absolutely bullet perfect. It's brilliant. Gets so quick out of the blocks, and the first 6 or 8 strides eases away from the rest. And Bowie there in the purple never got a sniff to come back at her. Indeed, it was a brilliant run from Okagbari. She could have dipped better than that. She'd have been a lot closer.
Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, as you said, Tim, once she was that far ahead after 30, 40 metres, very unlikely to be caught. Winning time for the Jamaican, 10.93. Okagbari, 10.98. Some slightly slower times further down the field. For Jasmine Sawyers, well, it was a pretty solid evening, and for a little while she was in the top 3. That's 6.49 in the 3rd round. Kwapte went past her after that. She responded again in the 5th round with a leap of 6 meters 55. The European under-23 silver medalist didn't go to Beijing because she chose to go to those under-23 championships. Lorraine Ugan as well, a little bit off tonight, 6.31 in the 1st round, down in 8th place. But Sawyers, that was good enough for 4th. So Shara Proctor was really up against it. Difficult to come back after that great performance in Beijing, and the 6:58 for her meant that the way was left clear for Tiana Bartoletta, who left it late again after winning the gold medal in the final round of Beijing. Looked as though she'd won the competition again here tonight with a 6:97 in the final round, going past Spanovic, who had gone out to 6:93 in the third round. Spanovic in great form here tonight, following up from her medal in Beijing, and then something extra right in the final round, responding to the American and going out to an incredible 7 meters 2, given tonight's conditions and the undoubted tiredness in the leg. So the Serbian setting yet another national record to win it tonight. 7 meters 2, adding a centimeter onto her performance in Beijing. The winner here in Zurich tonight, Spanovic with 7 meters 2, Bartoletta 6:97, Proctor third, Jasmine Sawyers fourth, Lorraine Ugen in 8th place. And all of that meant that Bartoletta is the winner of the women's long jump in the diamond race. What a year it's been for the American.
Well, the athletes out on the track for this next event. It's the men's 800 meters in Beijing. In that final, the top 4 in the world on time are absent, but 6 out of the 8 finalists in Beijing are here this evening. It's not a Diamond League event, this, by the way, but David Rudisha very nearly back to his best. Well, he has his own pacemaker here. Sami Tanguy will take them out. We understand that he's still going to try and go out in 49.5, Tanguy, despite it being a cool, damp evening here in Zurich. David Rudisha wants to get under 143 tonight, and ideally he'd like to top the world rankings. This should be a quick affair, though. Rudisha second to right, out in lane 7 in the all-grey strip. We're looking for under 50 seconds for the first lap. Kajot, somewhat uncharacteristically for him, has gone off as quick as anybody in the purple in the middle of that grouping. Rudisha, with that long stride of his, by far the tallest of this field, slots into second place, but doesn't really attach himself to the heels of Tanguy, the pacemaker. Indeed, that's a pretty big gap, 6 or 7 meters now, after 250. Rudisha in control yet again, though.
And really not looking that interested in going very quick, is he? And it's just amazing. It's a bit like how, Mo Farah in the 5,000 and 10,000. The whole field are watching and waiting, and only a man now deciding, well, hang on, we shouldn't let him completely control this. So the pacemaker 51, they must have been about 52.5, Tim. So Rudisha doing exactly what he did before, and why not? It's what won him the World Championship. He'll want to win here in Zurich. He loves running here, but not a quick time tonight.
Well, Tanguy did the best he could to drag them through, but nobody was up for it. And this turns it into a bit of a lottery. Rudisha watching the big screen. He's under attack here, and he's allowed them to ease past him there. And this is not the David Rudisha of a week ago, not at all. He's back in, what, 6th place at the moment, 7th place, and in the pack, jostling in traffic. Bala leading from Makloufi. A man on the outside in green is straining. Kajot on the inside is boxed at the moment. Anybody's race. Lewandowski in the purple, in the pink top, has got some work to do as well. And Rudisha's not going to win this one. He's left himself with far too much to do. It was a very tired run from Rudisha. Is he going to get there? I don't think so. Kajot, as ever, from the Olympic champion of 1500 Makloufi, take first and second. 145.55. And Steve, in many respects, just like the steeplechase, it was a very lackluster affair. I think many athletes talking the talk, but unable to walk the walk this soon after the championships.
I still think he sort of went to sleep. He's okay. He's looking at the screen, and he did come back strong in the home straight. But Kajot is doing what he always does. He's there to pick up the pieces. But look at this. He just lets everybody go past him. Doesn't even try to change pace. And then he sort of woke up at the 150 to go point. By which time, he's chasing from miles back. And he probably finished as quick as anyone down the home straight, but he'd given them 5, 6, or more, probably more meters head start. He was never going to get that back off this sort of pace, because Kajot is as quick as anybody.
Kajot winning in 145.55. Makloufi just a click behind him. Mohamed Aman a close third as well. A tactical race over 800 meters tonight. Not very windy down on the track. A bit disappointing that nobody went for it at all in that field.
the world champion in the pole vault. She had some scares early on in that final and then came through for a brilliant win in the end. Kyriakopoulou took a bit of a risk when the bar went up to 490, didn't pay off, ended up with a bronze medal. Still an excellent season she's been having. And Fabiana Moura, the silver medalist from Brazil, setting a new South American record in that final. So another great women's pole vault competition in store here tonight. Well, here's silver, first attempt at 4:47. One or two came in a little bit earlier. Silke Spiegelberg cleared 4:32, as did Bengtsson. Great Britain's Holly Bradshaw clear at 4:32, but for silver, coming in a little bit later, nice and smooth over the bar. So no problems there for the world champion, still early in this women's pole vault. Bar now at 2:27 in the men's high jump. This is Barshim. Already lost quite a lot of men in this. So just 6 left at this height. Barber took 3 attempts to get over 2:23. Here goes Barshim. Yeah, nice. Slightly grazing the bar. Still effectively in second place though. Bondarenko goes clear at 2:27 here, because Bondarenko with first time clearance at 2:23 didn't even bother at 2:19, and Barshim after had one failure at 2:19 there, you can see that. So he's leading. If as I said, if Bondarenko goes clear here, he'll be in second place.
Zhang Guowai then 2:27, and again, under normal circumstances, this would be a formality. Oh! Well, he's quite a showman, isn't he? Steady on. Not the norm. Not what we grew to expect from the Chinese for those decades of their athletes performing, but this is a different age.
The men's 400 metres in Beijing was arguably the race of the championship, with 3 men going under 44 seconds for the first time ever. Wade van Niekerk stunned the field, winning in a time 4th on the all-time list. 6 of the finalists are reunited here, including Britain's Rabah Youssef, and the 2 biggest stars of 400 metre running, LaShawn Merritt and Kirani James.
What a lineup this is with Kirani James and LaShawn Merritt. A slight chance of revenge here, Steve?
Well, it's going to be interesting, isn't it, to see who's brought their legs, because most of them seem to leave them in Beijing in the 400 metres. Some of them left them in the first round. So Van Niekerk, Merritt and James in lanes 4, 5 and 6 here. Van Niekerk, well, he ended up in hospital to recover after that sensational 400 metre final. Couldn't even stand up in the mixed zone and gave absolutely everything. Silver medalist Merritt, bronze medalist Kirani James. In that final, Van Niekerk went out in an incredible 20.7 through the first 200. It hasn't started quite as quickly here today. Makwala already well up on him. Merritt is the one who's gone through the first 150 quicker than anybody. So LaShawn Merritt leading this at the minute. Kirani James starting to get moving now in that top bend. Rabah Youssef has gone pretty well out in lane A, but now starting to fade a little bit. Makwala coming through. And at the moment, the world champion a long way behind, as Merritt looks strong as he comes into the home straight. Van Niekerk starting to finish quickly now. But it's Merritt against Kirani James, and the world champion finishing quickly, but surely he's not going to catch him. LaShawn Merritt is going to take this one. Merritt wins it, 44.20. The top 3 finishing in the top 3 positions here, but it's Merritt who gets the win.
Merritt set off with real intent. He blasted through that first 150. You're quite right, Steve. 44.18, the official time there. And Merritt took the race to the best of them. Kirani James and Van Niekerk are very, very quick finishers, but he threw the gauntlet down and they fell just short. They were closing at one point, indeed. I thought Merritt was going to, his legs were going to go, and Kirani James there in the purple might get to him. He was glancing out of the side of his eye, trying to see who was coming through. Van Nico was chasing hard. Another 25 metres, and I think they'd both have caught him. But it was only a 400-metre race, not 4:25. And that's a big win. It's consolation of sorts, perhaps, for LaShawn Merritt.
So Merritt, a pretty commendable run there, 44.18. Kirani James, 44.28. Van Nico, 44.35. Yusuf behind Santos to 5th place, and Makwala fading there, 45.56 in the end. Tabe Anamura next to go then. Silver medalist. A fine competition from her. As I said, equaling that South American record with 4.85 in the final. Hopefully standing her in good stead for a good, obviously, performance in front of a home crowd in Rio next year. So Mura, that's better. So perfect so far for her, 2 first-time clearances. Already giving her an advantage over the Greek Kyriakopoulou. Nicely done.
Kyriakopoulou in real trouble. 3rd and final attempt for the Greek at 4:57. Fairly modest heights. She's a 4.83 vaulter, don't let's forget. Took that bronze medal at the Worlds with 4.80 meters. Greek record holder both indoors and out now. 3 athletes went clear at first attempt. Mura, Silva, the world champion, and Bukla of Switzerland going really well too. This is important. Oh yes, way clear. There was masses of daylight between herself and the bar there. Let's have a look at it again. There's so much more, as there should be, I suppose, at 4:57, and that was a big vault.
Barshim in the high jump, still yet to hit the big heights here, and he's looking supreme tonight. Another first-time clearance for him, looking good so far. Really is beginning to look as though it's going to be between him and Bondarenko tonight. Look at that, 2:30 first time, and here goes Bondarenko.
Well, only his 2nd jump of the evening, and they've been out there now for well over an hour. That's nice. Huge roar greets every clearance. They're at this near end, the first bend of the stadium, just down in front of us, which traditionally gets absolutely jam-packed. So, 3rd and final attempt for Zhang in the high jump. He's in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, that's it. And he'd seen Barshim and Bondarenko both go clear first time. He needed that one. They're the only 3 left in the contest now. So the men's 200 meters, and this again a strong lineup. Indeed, the World Championship bronze medalist Job Adwana there in lane 4 leads the diamond race. Got that World Championship bronze by 3/1000th of a second from Alonso Edward. Edward goes 2 lanes outside him. Danny Talbot of Great Britain goes on the inside. The European Championship bronze medalist in 2012 and a semi-finalist in a personal best last week in Beijing. Job Adwana leads the diamond race standings with 9 points from the 2014 winner Alonso Edward, who is 2 lanes outside him, who is on 8 points. Nikhil Ashmij, sandwiched between them in lane 5, has 2 points. In theory, any of these 3 could win, but it looks as if it'll be a real head-to-head between the leading 2. Job Adwana in 4, Alonso Edward in lane 6. They were 3rd and 4th respectively in Beijing.
Set.
Well, quickly into his running, Job Adwana's run a really good first 90 metres. Also good running out in lane 6 from Edward. Alonso Edward leads at the moment. The rest of them got some work to do. Great running from Isaiah Young in lane 2. But Edward leading at the moment. He's going away with this one. He's going to take it by a metre. And in 2nd place, Dwyer. 3rd, Job Adwana. 20.03. That is crisp sprinting indeed on a cool night in Switzerland.
It was a really good bend from Edward. He is a great bend runner. I think he benefited from having Rashid Dwyer outside as well. The 2 of them really did storm round there. Job Adwana, as you said, did run a good bend, but just when he came off the bend, he just was a little bit down, and then at this point he's just tying up a little bit. He's trying to chase Edward, and in so doing, in then losing 2nd place, he also loses the diamond race. That will mean that Edward will pass him.
confirmation for Alonso Edward there, 20.03. That Panamanian has done enough to take the Diamond League title. Rashid Dwyer, 2020. Jobadwana, 2024. Third here tonight, as he was last week. Katharina Molitor, well, the German has had her day of days in 2015. She is, of course, the newly crowned world champion from Beijing. Failed to qualify for the final even 2 years ago in Moscow. Tonight, the German throwing 62.43 in the sixth and final round to ease into third place. Second place going to Canada's Liz Gleadle, only 11th in the final in Beijing a few days ago. But the best for Gleadle coming in the opening round of what was a questionable series from her, really. 62 meters 70 was good enough to defeat all but one of the athletes out there.
This is Spatakova, fourth round. Third round 62.59, improving her situation. We were saying how really disappointing she was in the final. And that red line marking the current lead, so well over that. Finally getting a decent throw in this women's javelin. 64.31. Yeah, she's delighted, obviously. Makes up a little bit for the disappointment of last week. So she not only wins tonight, but wins the diamond race as well. 64.31, that throw coming in the fourth round. Gleadle, who'd led from the first round with that 62.70, that was good enough to hang on for second place. And the world champion, Molitor, could only manage third. Women out for the 800 meters. Quite a big field, but that's not often the case in Zurich. Eunice Sum, who had to concede her, what many considered would have been her world title to win, to Ashimasova. Werner second. Well, Sifan Hassan probably came home from Beijing wondering what on earth happened. She almost ran two personal bests for 800, one in the 1500 final and one in the semi-final of the 800 meters. Didn't make it through to the final, 158.5. Next to her, Jozovic did make it to the final, but left way too much to do in the home straight. Ranelle Lamotte finished 8th in that final. Next to her, Shalana Oskan-Clark. Brilliant performance from the British athlete. Big personal best to get in the final again. Ran 158.9 in the final itself for 5th place. Well, Eunice Sum, the former world champion now, we have to describe her, has won this Diamond League race the last couple of years and can't be caught again in 2015. Lindsay Sharp won medal here at the European Championships in Zurich last year and indeed at the Commonwealth Games. Didn't make it to the final in Beijing. Huge disappointment for her there, and indeed Brenda Martinez, the American. Looked like her type of races in Beijing, but couldn't find the pace, unlike this lady here. Gold medal here in Zurich last year at the Europeans, and now the world champion. So strong in the home straight when it looked as though maybe Melissa Bishop might get past her on the inside, or even Eunice Sum, but she held on for the win. Women's 800 meters. So Usovic will try and get out hard out in lane 8 there. I doubt the world champion will try and latch on to it. She'll leave it up to others to try and do that. Maybe the likes of Chanel Price, who likes a good pace. Buchel started pretty quickly as well. So in this big field, people wanting to make sure they get a good position when the field break. Buchel right on the inside. Chanel Price comes across though to effectively lead the pack behind the pacemaker. Sum is there, and Ashimasova, the world champion, well placed on the outside.
Well, they've gone off quickly, and that's to be expected. She does love to go out really hard. Does Price, the American, really throws the gauntlet down. Sum too is up for this as well. Buchel on the inside in 4th place. Usovic doing a pretty good job. A little glance over her shoulder there. It's good to see the ladies going with this quick pace. Maybe too quick. Look at that.
Yeah, watch out for the likes of Sifan Hassan, who's actually last at the moment, but she probably went through in about 59 seconds, already starting to move up. Hassan, as indeed is Martinez. In front of them, the world champion starting to get a bit closer as well. A little look behind from Usovic. You'll see that Chanel Price is there. Coleman, the German, is really committed here. Buchel will be cheered on by the home crowd. And as I say, Hassan still making ground down the back straight. Lindsay Sharp in a good position. Eunice Sum still very much there. but it's Coleman striking out at the front. Chanel Price trying to hang on to this, Buchel as well, and then the others are going to try and finish quickly, but look at Coleman. Lindsay Sharp moving up another position, but can the German win this from the front here? This is a startling run from her. Yunus Sum trying to get there. Now Sifan Hassan trying to find something a little bit extra, but Sum and Sharp are going to run down the German whose legs have gone to jelly. Yunus Sum trying to get ahead of Lindsay Sharp, who'll chase her all the way to the line. But Yunus Sum's going to get the win. Sharp second. Coleman hangs on for third ahead of Hassan. A second lap there of 62.73. Probably a little bit slower, a little bit quicker than that from Yunus Sum. But off that fast first lap, Tim, a lot of tired legs, and Yunus Sum and Lindsay Sharp judging it well and finishing better than anybody else. Coleman, well, I'm surprised she hung on for third in the end. She did well to do that, for goodness me. And some consolation for Yunus Sum there, beating the world champion, win 1:59. Probably to be expected. Arshamasova not looking as good here in Zurich.
I really thought, wow, they've gone out way too fast. 56.42 for the pacemaker. The rest of that group going through in 57.5. And what are they going to do? Come back in 1:55? They go out way too quickly. And I mean, that differential, Steve, of what, about 5 seconds, maybe more than 5 seconds. It's just too much. Lindsay Sharp didn't really finish fast. She just hung on to her form a little bit better than everybody else. I mean, her second lap, like most of them, was probably around 62 seconds, having gone out in about 57.5. The winning time from Sum, 1:59.14, and yet they set it up for such a quick time. There are a lot of tired legs out there, and that is some consolation for Lindsay Sharp for the big disappointment of going out in the semis in Beijing, and Sum certainly enjoyed that one.
So Yunus Sum, as probably expected, gets the win, 1:59.14. Lindsay Sharp, a very good second place for Lindsay Sharp, and Coleman in third place, 1:59.68. Sifan Hassan in fourth. All or nothing for Fabiana Mura. 2 failures at 4:67. She's passed Kyriakopoulou, already gone clear, and Silva went clear at 4:67, so she must clear this, otherwise it's the evening over for the Brazilian. Oh, it stays on! Oh, it looked as though she'd taken the bar off there, but it somehow stays on. Kyriakopoulou just looks on. Still hasn't got this diamond race won here. The three of them, as they did in Beijing, trading blows one after the other.
Yarisle Silva, well, she had real problems at 4:67. Is in there, though, for the fight. Can she fight as well? Yes, she can. And that, frankly, a much crisper clearance. And they share the lead at the moment. Hashim now to go at 2:32. He too, for him, has had a strangely inconsistent season. Fourth at the World Championships. A year ago, that would have been unthinkable. A season in which he was jumping 2:43 around this time at Brussels. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, he's enjoying himself now. Now, clearance at 2:32 a year back wouldn't have got him too excited. It really wouldn't. He's gone several inches higher than that.
Next on the track, the 110-metre hurdles for men.
It is indeed, yes. And what a lineup we've got here. David Oliver, the diamond race leader in lane 7. Desperately disappointed with his 7th place in Beijing. He hadn't had a good semi-final. He ended up in lane 9 and said he clashed arms with Parchment to his left in lane 8. It was very, very messy. But Shubenkov, well, the Russian is world champion. Mr. Reliable, you could call him. He goes right in the middle here of the 9 athletes. He's in lane 5. Orlando Ortega, the world #1, didn't even get to race in Beijing. Of course, sitting out that nationality change from Cuba to Spain. But, well, Olympic 6th place, and we'll be looking here to show what he's made of. Against this man, drawn alongside him, Shubenkov, still only 24 years old. He's a super athlete. David Oliver goes in lane 7. The world #3 this year, and indeed the 4th fastest man in history, David Oliver, with 12.89. He's one of only 4 men to go below 12.90. Brathwaite in 1, Richardson in 2, Darion in 3, Ortega goes in 4, Shubenkov, the world champion, in 5. Martin Lagarde in 6. Oliver in 7. Pascu and Thomas to left of picture. Really good start from Ortega there, fourth and right, but Shubenkov was quick away as well. And gone is Darion, but it's Ortega leading at the moment. Shubenkov easing away from him. Oliver on the near side going well, but Shubenkov's going really well. He's going to take this one by 1.5 meters. Really tight for second place. Make your own mind up whether it's Ortega or Oliver. With the winning time 13.15 plus 0.4 the following wind. Hardly any wind. Oliver couldn't get the win he wanted. That would have been some consolation. Ortega and Oliver, it's a photo finish between those two, but Sergei Shubenkov, well, congratulations to him. I said he's Mr. Reliable, but Steve, turning back the challenge of all the big names who wanted to have a pop at him, wanted to show that there was something wrong with that result in Beijing. Well, of course there wasn't. He was a very worthy champion, and he's a worthy winner here tonight. And he hasn't just beaten them, he's beaten them by a good margin.
These guys couldn't beat Shubenkov in Beijing, and to come here tonight and to back it up with that sort of performance, really well done to him. Looks Oliver from that, doesn't it? Yeah, it's coming up on the computer at the same time as Ortega, but definitely looks Oliver. That big chest of his just getting in front of Ortega. So no, Shubenkov can hold his head up high as a true world champion. David Oliver will win the diamond race.
Well, Shubenkov was the man to beat tonight, but they couldn't. He comes out on top in Zurich, 13.14 to Oliver's 13.30. Ortega there, just out-dipped by Oliver. That might have turned the diamond race around.
Three world champions in one race now as 1500-metre gold medalist Genzebi Dibaba takes on compatriot Almaz Ayana, who beat Dibaba to the 5,000-metre title, and 10,000-metre champion Vivian Chariot. As the world indoor record holder, Dibaba is probably favourite over 3,000, but she'll need a top 2 finish to guarantee her place as the diamond race winner.
Much anticipated race here in Zurich tonight for lots of reasons. How fast are they going to go? Who's going to come out on top here? We've got Vivian Chariot, the world champion, at 10,000 metres. We've got Ayana, the world champion, at 5,000 metres. We've got Dibaba, the world champion, at 1,500 metres. Not often that you get 3 women of such calibre coming together. Of course, it will definitely favour Dibaba and Ayana. And the two of them, there they are. I don't think there's any love lost between these two. Ayana completely destroying Dibaba, who herself completely destroyed the field in the 1,500 metres. The world record still stands to Yongxia Wang of 8 minutes 6.11. Pace through the first 1,500 metres tonight to be set at around 4 minutes and 7. But what happens after that? Will the two of them race each other? Will they take it on? We're going to find out. 7.5 laps of the track, of course, and the two of them side by side haven't started particularly quickly. Wafula and Police herself, of course, a world-class 1,500 metre runner, will be asked to set this quick pace. Mouth-watering prospect, Tim. I just hope that we get a good race between these two. They've got to be tired. That 5,000 metres the other day was absolutely incredible.
Well, I think you're exactly right, Steve. What we want is a great race. We shouldn't really be focusing too much upon the time, as long as we see them knocking chunks out of each other, so to speak, over the last lap or two. But they have gone with it. I'm interested to see here, too, how the Americans go. Jenny Simpson and Shannon Robury, 1,500 metre runners in Beijing. This is a long way for them, although they are very competent exponents of this. But Ayana being dogged there by Dibaba, right on her coattails. And Dibaba, I think, this time will not make the mistake she made in Beijing. Ayana has got to be confident, though.
Not particularly quick through the first 400, but the others have sat off this, maybe frightened by those two, but they seem to have picked it up a little bit. Around 68 seconds. I think through the first 400, the clock didn't stop there, but that's a long way back, a good 15-20 metres back already, the rest of the field led by Teferi. We've been given, oddly enough, a 500 metre split through 600 metres. They're getting every 100 metres on this now. So, Tim, it's a good pace. They picked it up, a slow first sort of 200, and I think it was really just to see whether or not the big two names went with it. And it was good to see them latch onto it. So I think we're in for a really good race here. The pace will be good. It'll be sub 8:20 pace. And these two, of course, in a straight-off race have not run that quick. Certainly not outdoors. Dibaba has done that indoors. And I think Dibaba will want revenge here tonight, don't you, for what Ayana did to her?
Absolutely. She's a proud athlete. She probably felt a bit humiliated last week by being destroyed so comprehensively by Ayana. They're only moving at around 8:30 pace at the moment, 68 and then 2:16.5 at 800 meters. It's not quick. But 8:30, we tend to talk about 8:30 being not that quick. Of course, for other athletes, for mortals, it is quick, and that's why there's that gap, what, about 20 meters back to the pack.
Vivian Chariot now leading the chase pack with Teferi, Jenny Simpson there, Kabiwat also, Mercy Chirono just behind her, just moving up a little bit. So Renata Plies out in front, the Polish athlete doing a good job here, trying to keep this pace going.
Kyriakopoulou then passed at 4:72. She saw the big pair ahead of her go clear first time, and the Greek here in third place. 4:77. She's had one failure at 4:72. Goes clear. Oh, that's a lovely clearance, and that could really count. First time clearances are so important. That slaps the gauntlet down very, very firmly at the feet of the Brazilian Moura, who was leading along with Silva. Well, Barshim it is now. Oh, that's a lovely clearance from Barshim, and it was the winning jump from Barshim. 2:32, good enough on the night to turn back the challenge of Bondarenko and Zhang and Protsenko and all those others who featured in that Beijing final.
Well, it's been another great pole vault competition. These three women, Silva, Moura, Kyriakopoulou, trying to decide who's going to win this diamond race. Kyriakopoulou is still in the good position. That will be it for Silva. After passing up to 4:82, that was a second attempt at that height, so 3 failures, 1 at 4:77, 2 at 4:82. That's her done now. Kyriakopoulou now 4:82, then third attempt. No. Well, it doesn't matter. It's been a great night for her. Only one to go clear at 4:77. Third of the 3 in Beijing, but tonight she will win the diamond race in the pole vault. Been a great season for her. Pretty consistent all the way through. Well, basically it was between her and Moura in the end, but Kyriakopoulou came out on top. Ayana trying to push on. Dibaba, for me, still looking fairly comfortable. And she knows that as they approach 600 meters to go, very much moving into her territory. Ayana looked up at the screen as well, and despite her best efforts, cannot shake off Genzebe Dibaba. 600 meters to go. The two Ethiopians are about 80 meters ahead of the rest of the field. As they come round this time into the home straight for the penultimate time, Dibaba must be eyeing that bell. That was a slower lap there, and Ayana just slowing down here. Now Dibaba just biding her time. I said they could run under 8:20. But it'll have to be a big last lap, but Dibaba certainly capable of it. They're going to come to the bell, Tim, at around 7, what's it going to be, 16, 17.
Well, Dibaba needs the last lap of about 62 seconds, or Ayana for that matter, if they want to get under 8:20 off a fairly slow first kilometre, that 2:49. That's not bad going, that 2:49.9. It was only 8:30 that first kilometre. But Dibaba, if she's going to go, is biding her time. It's almost sadistic.
And Ayana responds as Dibaba tries to go past. That will have surprised Ayana. Still got something, and look at the change of pace. She sucked Dibaba in the sense that she went slower on that penultimate lap, and Dibaba, for me, is giving up. This is a little bit like what happened in Beijing. And Ayana, despite what everybody, including myself, would have thought, closing much quicker than Dibaba. It's not going to be super fast, but Ayana too strong. And look at Dibaba, nothing left at all. This is not the athlete we saw in the 1500 meters, and it's Ayana doing exactly what she did in the 5000 meters. It's not going to be inside 8:20, but she is going to get the win, and she stays as the #1 ranked Ethiopian at above 1500 meters for me. 8:22, it's a new meeting record. It's just a little bit slower than she ran in Rabat earlier on in the year for this distance. And a 64.6 last lap. And Tim, a 68 and then a 64 for the last 2 laps. That's not too impressive from Dibaba, and indeed her last lap would have been about a 66-second last lap. So Ayana, much to everybody's surprise, coming away with a win in a race that was run outside 8:20, and I think if you would have said that before, Dibaba sitting on her shoulder with 2 laps to go, looked so comfortable and so ready to take on Ayana.
Well, Ayana, you know, doesn't even have a personal best for 1500 meters, and yet she has blown away Dibaba there. Huge surprise to when you got into Dibaba's territory, that last 300, I think everybody who had witnessed Dibaba's form this last few weeks would have expected her to ease past Ayana, but certainly Ayana can go a long way under 4 minutes for 1500 meters herself. That's very clear.
So a surprise there, not so much in the fact that Ayana's won the race, but the manner of the race, out-kicking Dibaba on the last lap with a just inside 65 seconds for the last lap. It is a meeting record, and Dibaba having to settle for 2nd place. Fantastic men's long jump competition. Lapierre, the world championship silver medalist, right at the end, as we've seen time and time again, producing his best performance of the night. A little chilly early on. Greg Rutherford, the world champion, took control in the first 2-3 rounds. Lapierre going out at 8:27 for a season's best when he hadn't been over 8 meters all night. And then this man here, Marcus Dendy, as I said, Rutherford was leading, 8:27 in the second, 8:21 in the third, and then Dendy, who had that horrendous experience in the World Championships, didn't qualify for the final. Well, this was his chance tonight to say to Rutherford, I could have been there, I could have been close to you. And this is why, because he went out at 8:32, and look at the reaction from the American. And that put him in the lead at that point in the 4th round. But cometh the hour, cometh the man. The Olympic champion, the world champion, the European champion, responded superbly in the 5th round. And out he went. Knew it was close. It turned out to be exactly the same distance of 8:32. But of course, Rutherford, because of that 8:27 to back him up, takes the win here tonight and takes the diamond race in the long jump and retains what has been a fantastic record in 2015 for the world champion.
I think that's 4 Diamond League events that I've won this year, so for me that's a big deal. I go out very much on top. I've had the most consistent year, and I'm over the moon with it. It meant a hell of a lot to me to come here today. The world's very, very best were here again, the same as the World Championships, and managed to win again, so I'm very pleased.
Well, you can see the men already lined up for the 1500 meters at the start of the back straight, and what a great field we've got here. What a racing prospect. Admittedly, we've said that on 1 or 2, but with Asbel Kiprop, the world champion in Diku, who chased Mo Farah in the 5,000 meters. You've got Silas Kiplagat in this, Manangoy, the silver medalist in the 1500 meters, and indeed Agida, the bronze medalist, all in this great 1500 meter lineup. There's Kiprop. Well, he gave everybody a bit of fright. Chatting to him in the hotel last night, and he was laughing and said to me, yeah, I heard your commentary, he said, but it was all okay, don't worry. Well, he might have been the only person in the stadium that wasn't worried. He chased everybody down, including Silas Kiplagat. Other men in this field to watch out for: Robert Biwott, the youngster; Ronald Quemoy as well, world junior record holder; Charlie Grice going for Great Britain; Manzano for the USA, along with Robbie Andrews; Inga Britson, European champion in 2012, silver medalist in this stadium in 2014. So fast-paced start, as you'd expect. Rotich and Kavuva have been given the time of 1:51 through 800 to Amat, and it'd be just interesting to see what Kiprop does. Well, immediately he's gone straight to the back of the field. Of course, because he's done that, then others may well just sit off it a little bit. So it is indeed the youngster Biwott, with Manangoy just behind him, and Silas Kiplagat in the effective first, second, third positions, but they're a good couple of seconds down on the leader.
Well, Kiprop as you say, Steve, towards the back of the field. Still went through 300 about 43, so if he holds this, he'll go through 400 about 57.5. It begins to set it up pretty well for a quickish time, but we've seen this again and again this year, and I know many people are not big fans. The pacemakers going out at a preset tempo and the field ignoring them. 55.5 at 400 metres, but that's still a, 6 or 7 metre gap back to the pack. Manangoi leading.
Yeah, pretty good through the first 400 metres, steady rather than anything else. Charlie Grice just in there with Agida and Ingebrigtsen just behind him. Kiprop happy to sit in the pack at the moment, so he's allowing Biwott and Kwemoy and Kiplagat and Manangoi stay closer to the front, and Diku just following, probably pretty wisely following Kiprop, keeping an eye on him as they come round with 2 laps to go. The pace not that quick, so they're just gathering and starting to bunch up a little bit behind Biwott.
Well, Kiprop still, 4th from the back in that orange strip. Looks pretty untroubled, I have to say. He's got most of the pack in the targets that he needs to get past in the next 700 metres. Just a few yards in front of him. 59.7, that second lap. It really has become very, very languid indeed. And we were half expecting this to be super fast tonight, but it's not to be. It looks like it's going to be one of those typical Kiprop races, Steve, where he just surges through the latter part of the race, the last 400 or 500, past everybody. Very interested to see how Charlie Grice goes here. He was the best of the rest, the first European in effect in Beijing.
Ingebrigtsen has really attacked hard here, is going past the pacemaker, and the others are letting him go. And with only 500 metres to go, the Norwegian has certainly set his stall out, and Kiprop is doing it again. He's allowing somebody to get away, but Ingebrigtsen has stolen the march. Biwott chasing him, Agida trying to get closer, Manangoi, and then Kiplagat. Charlie Grice in the pack there as well. But has he gone too hard here, Ingebrigtsen? Surely they're going to try and run him down. Kiprop just gliding through the pack at the moment, with Ndiku trying to follow him. But look at the Norwegian, hard down the back straight, but they're chasing him now, closing the gap slowly, and those knees not coming up quite as high for Ingebrigtsen. Biwott and Agida the closest, but here comes Kiprop, and there goes Manangoi as well, chasing the world champion. Kiplagat trying to get back into this, but Ingebrigtsen trying to last this out. But here they come, Biwott, Agida and Kiprop into the home straight. Ingebrigtsen is now, his legs are going, and Asbel Kiprop, as he did in Beijing, down the outside. Biwott trying to hang on to him. Manangoi finishing very, very quickly, but Kiprop is going to win it. Perfectly timed, perfectly judged, perfectly run. Asbel Kiprop, you have to hand it to Ingebrigtsen. He had a real go, maybe just went too hard too soon and couldn't hang on to it. And Kiprop and Manangoi again, who doesn't seem to judge his effort particularly well, again chasing the world champion home.
Well, it's one of the most gutsy runs we've seen all summer, when there have been quite a few tactical races, I have to say, especially in this last few weeks, the second half of the summer. And Ingebrigtsen led into the home straight. I mean, he took some catching. He really stole a jump on Kiprop, who was right in the back of the field when he went, and he so nearly carried it off. But Kiprop, who used to be renowned for his dreadful pace judgment, gets it right again and again by just a metre, doesn't he? It's perfect.
Well, the winning time much slower than many would have expected. Kiprop 3:35.79, Manangoi second, and Biwott, the youngster, coming through for third place ahead of the World Championship bronze medalist Agida. Well, there were plenty of Beijing hangovers here tonight in Zurich, but for some the party continued, particularly for Greg Rutherford. The Americans had their chance again tonight, but Rutherford has the winning habit now, and he was superb once again in the long jump. Lindsay Sharp ran a gutsy race in the 800 metres and almost handed Eunice Sum another defeat. Shara Proctor was well down on a Beijing distance, but was a good third in the long jump. And elsewhere, Ayana surprised Dibaba. Kiprop did what he does best, and Merritt got some revenge over Van Niekerk, but probably tiredness may have been the biggest winner in Zurich tonight.
There's more athletics next weekend here on the BBC. On Saturday at 1 o'clock on BBC One, you can see highlights from the Brussels Diamond League featuring Usain Bolt. That's followed at 2 o'clock by live coverage of the Great City Games. Then on Sunday from 9:30, it's the Great North Run. That's it for the Zurich Diamond League. We're back next weekend for the final meeting of the season from Brussels.